The cold wind sliced through the autumn air as Jacob knelt beside the freshly turned earth. His hands trembled, digging fingers into the loose soil as if he could claw her back from the grave. The cemetery was eerily quiet, save for the rustling of dry leaves swirling around his knees and the occasional distant crow. Emily, his voice broke, the name a fragile thread hanging in the silence. Why didn't I save you? He had barely been able to breathe these past 2 weeks. His wife, Emily, had slipped away so suddenly, so cruelly, that his heart felt shattered beyond repair. A car accident, the doctors said. A cruel twist of fate. But he refused to believe fate had the final word. The small group of mourners had left hours ago, their condolences fading like echoes in his mind. But Jacob stayed, kneeling by her grave as dusk deepened the shadows. The headstone was simple: Emily Grace Carter, 1988 to 2025. Beloved wife, daughter, friend. I'm sorry, he whispered. I should have been there. Suddenly, a sharp chill crawled up his spine. The wind died down, the graveyard still again. Jacob felt something that wasn't the cold. He wiped his eyes and turned, sensing a presence behind him. Nothing. Just the bare branches creaking in the dark. He let out a shaky breath and stood up. His legs were weak, his heart pounding not just from grief, but from something else, anticipation. Fear. He turned back to the grave, brushing a hand over the rough stone. Then, as he leaned forward once more, his fingers digging into the soil, he felt it. A faint pressure against his back. Like a hand. Small. Delicate. Jacob froze. His heart slammed in his chest. Slowly, carefully, trembling, he turned around. No one was there. His breath hitched. He looked again. And then he saw it. A pale, fragile hand, emerging from the earth behind him. One finger curling upward, beckoning. Emily. His voice cracked, disbelief and hope mixing. The hand reached out farther, trembling like a whisper of life. Jacob fell to his knees again, the ground cold beneath him, but his tears now were mixed with shock and an unexplainable hope. Is it you? The hand was followed by an arm, then a shoulder. Dirt slid down as a pale figure slowly pulled herself out of the grave. Jacob's mind screamed it was impossible, but there she was. Emily, pale and thin, her eyes wide with confusion and pain. I don't understand, she whispered, her voice brittle, barely above a breath. What happened? Jacob's grief shattered into frantic joy and confusion. You're alive. But how? Why? Emily shook her head weakly. I don't know. I remember. Darkness. Then nothing. And now, this. Jacob wrapped his arms around her, holding her close as if she might vanish again. But the relief was short-lived. Emily's eyes flicked down to her body, still pale, still fragile. Then to the grave around them. We have to get help, Jacob said urgently, pulling her to her feet. But Emily's expression twisted. No, Jacob. I'm different now. I can't stay with you. Jacob blinked, confusion clouding his hope. What do you mean? She looked around, eyes wide, almost fearful. There's something in me. Something I didn't bring back from the grave, something dark. Jacob tightened his hold. Whatever it is, we can face it. Together. Emily shook her head. No. I need to figure this out alone. She stepped back, the moonlight catching on her pale face. Jacob reached for her hand again, but she pulled away. I'm sorry. Then, she turned and disappeared into the shadows of the trees bordering the graveyard. Jacob fell to the ground, heart breaking anew. Days passed. Jacob searched frantically for Emily, desperate for answers, for a sign that she was truly alive and well. But each night, he found himself drawn back to her grave. Then, one evening, He found a letter tucked beneath a stone. Jacob, if you're reading this, it means I'm still here, but not fully. Something unnatural has taken hold of me. I don't know if I can fight it, or if it's already too late. I love you. Remember that. Emily. Jacob knew he couldn't just wait. He contacted Father Daniels, the local priest known for his knowledge of old legends and rites. Father Daniels listened intently, his face grave. There are tales, the priest said slowly, of the dead who return, not as they were, but changed. Caught between worlds. Sometimes, a soul lingers, trapped by unfinished business. But sometimes, something darker inhabits the body. A curse, a possession. Jacob clenched his fists. Can you help her? The priest nodded. But it's dangerous. If she is infected by darkness, we must act quickly before she is lost forever. That night, Jacob returned to the graveyard with Father Daniels. They found Emily standing silently by her grave, her eyes hollow yet fierce. Emily, Jacob called softly. She turned, eyes flashing with something not quite human. Jacob, she said, voice eerie yet familiar. I can't stay. Father Daniels stepped forward, holding an ancient book. We will help you, Emily. But you must let us in. Emily hesitated. Then, slowly, she nodded. The ritual began under the pale moonlight. Father Daniels chanted in an ancient tongue, his voice steady and strong. Jacob held Emily's hand tightly, willing her to hold on. The wind whipped around them, shadows stretching unnaturally. Emily's body trembled, her eyes rolling back as if battling a storm within. Suddenly, a scream ripped through the night, Emily's scream, yet not hers alone. Darkness seemed to pour from her like smoke, twisting and writhing before dissolving into the night air. Then, silence. Emily collapsed into Jacob's arms. Tears streamed down his face. She was back. Weeks later, Emily sat by the window, sunlight warming her face. She was fragile still, but alive and real. Jacob sat beside her, fingers entwined. I'm sorry I left, she whispered. But I needed to find my way back. Jacob kissed her forehead. You're home now, and I'll never let you go again. Outside, the world moved on, but inside that small house, love had conquered death, darkness, and despair. Jacob knew the battle was over, but their story was just beginning.